Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Muskegon City Commission meeting for July 25th, 2017. Before we begin the proceedings, I'd like to invite up Elder Holmes of the Holy Trinity Church of God in Christ, who will be leading us in prayer this evening, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So anyone who would like to join us in prayer, please do. Elder?
Thank you. Let us bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, Lord God, we come today to say thank you. We thank you, O God, for your grace and your mercy, and we thank you for your loving kindness. And we thank you, O God, now for the city of Muskegon. We pray, God, now that you let your blessings overshadow them right now. We thank you for the mayor, council members. We ask, O God, that you will touch their hearts and their minds. Let them rule, O God, according to your word. We pray, God, that all the ruling that they do in this community, that it will be beneficial for the people of God. We ask God now that you will forgive us for our sins. We ask God now that you will bless this government, because you gave us human government over 2,000 years ago, God, during the dispensation which you dealt with manhood. We ask God now that you will let them rule with integrity, let them rule with honesty, and let them rule, oh God, that your people will be edified through the things that they do with this government. We thank you for it, and we bless your name for it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Elder. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner German?
Here.
Commissioner Rinsma-Sippiga, absent. Commissioner Turnquist?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Gallren?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hood?
Here.
Commissioner Warren?
Here.
May we have the consent agenda, please?
Approval of minutes, City Clerk, summary request to approve minutes of the July 10, 2017 work session meeting and the July 11, 2017 regular meeting. Staff recommendation, approval of the minutes. Farmers Market liquor license, City Clerk, summary request to finalize the application process for our permanent liquor license by authorizing signers, approving the use of the outdoor seating area, canceling our request for a specific purpose permit, and approving a new Sunday sales permit. Staff recommendation, approve the request and authorize the mayor to sign the letter to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission on behalf of the City Commission. Appointment of treasurer position, finance, summary request to appoint Sarah Peterson as the new city treasurer effective August 7th, 2017. Staff recommendation, after interviewing 9 candidates, the city manager, finance director, and the assistant finance director agreed to offer the treasurer's position to Sarah Peterson. Beach tractor DPW equipment, summary request. The equipment division is requesting permission to purchase a beach tractor from J&J Farm Sales, the lowest qualified bidder, with a price of $59,915. This price includes a trade-in of our current tractor for $12,000. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to purchase one beach tractor from J&J Farm Sales for the price of $59,915. Tahoe Police Cruisers DPW equipment, summary request. The equipment division is requesting permission to purchase 3 Tahoe Police Cruisers from Berger Chevrolet, the MI Deal state contract holder, for a purchase price of $35,246 each. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to purchase 3 Tahoe Police Cruisers from Berger Chevrolet. LC Walker Arena Locker Room Plumbing, City Manager, summary request. The locker rooms AF are in need of plumbing repairs, upgrades in the shower areas. In total, 16 shower assemblies will be replaced at a cost of $1,007.68 each. The total cost of the 16 assemblies is $16,123. Staff recommendation, authorize arena management to accept the $16,123 proposal from Lasco Plumbing and Mechanical. Rebid the demolition of 1290 Wood Street, Public Safety, summary request. This is to request that the City Commission direct staff to rebid the demolition of 1290 Wood Street and to award all or part of the demolition of the lowest responsible bidder. The City Commission had concurred with the Housing Board of Appeals that the structure at 1290 Wood Street was unsafe, substandard, a public nuisance, and that all structures be demolished at the meeting of January 10, 2017. Staff recommendation to have staff rebid the demolition reflecting the changes from the original bid and to award the bid to the lowest responsible bidder. Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Grant Development Project Agreement for Pierre Marquette Park recreational improvements and defined match amount, Planning, Economic Development, and Public Works. Summary request. The city had received the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Grant Development Project Agreement for the Pierre Marquette Park project improvements. The state has requested that the development agreement and the defined contribution agreement be signed. Work may begin on the project once the state approves the agreement. Staff recommendation to approve the resolution approving the development project agreement for the Pierre Marquette Park recreational improvements and to guarantee the defined match funds and to have the mayor and clerk sign the development project agreement and resolution. Adopt the revised water main standard construction specifications, Division 13, DPW Engineering. Summary of request. Adopt the water main specification revising the currently used standards for water main construction effective immediately. The proposed revisions are necessary to incorporate new material and construction methods. The city's standard construction specifications, including the water main section, was last revised in 2010. Staff recommendation, adopt the revision and authorize engineer to sign and seal revised specifications. Rezoning request for the property at 1361 South Getty Street, Planning Economic Development. Summary request. Request to rezone the property at 1361 South Getty Street from B1 Limited Business District to B4 General Business District by Lackawanna Robinson. Staff recommendation. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning. Committee recommendation. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request at their July 13th meeting. They also unanimously voted to approve a special use permit to allow for a car sales lot contingent upon the rezoning of the property to B4. Rezoning request for several properties to R2 Single Family Medium Density Residential District, Planning Economic Development. Summary request. Staff initiated request to rezone several properties from R1 Single Family Low Density Residential District to R2 Single Family Medium Density Residential District. Staff recommendation. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning. Committee recommendation. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request at their July 13th meeting. Rezoning request for several properties to R3 Single Family High Density Residential District, Planning Economic Development. Summary request. Staff initiated request to rezone several properties from R1 Single Family Low Density Residential District to R3 Single Family High Density Residential District. Staff recommendation. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning. Committee recommendation. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request at their July 13th meeting. Revocation of a commercial facilities exemption certificate, 896 Jefferson LLC, Planning Economic Development. Summary request. Pursuant to Public Act 255 of 1978 as amended, staff is recommending the revocation of the commercial facilities exemption certificate granted to 165 Clay LLC for failure to complete the project. On May 12, 2015, a 12-year certificate was granted for a project that was to include $336,000 in renovations at 165 West Clay Avenue. The property owner is agreeable to the revocation. Staff recommendation, revocation of the commercial facilities exemption certificate. Revocation of a commercial facilities exemption certificate, 165 Clay, Planning Economic Development. Summary request. Pursuant to Public Act 255 of 1978 as amended, staff is recommending the revocation of the commercial facilities exemption certificate granted at 2896 Jefferson LLC for failure to complete the project. On May 12, 2015, a 12-year certificate was granted for a project that was to include $70,000 in renovations at 896 Jefferson Street. The property owner is agreeable to the revocation. Staff recommendation, revocation of the commercial facilities.
I just wanted to point out, it looks like the titles for M and N are switched around with the bodies. So the title on N belongs up in M, and the title on M belongs down in N. If you notice, the addresses were inverted there.
Commissioners, you've heard the consent agenda as presented. Are there any items you wish to have removed for further discussion? Commissioner German.
Yes, item C as in cat and item E as in Edward.
C and E. Any others? Commissioner Warren?
Item B, as in bumblebee.
Which I haven't seen enough of.
I
I'm
know.
getting worried. I might have to get myself an 8 year. Commissioner Johnson?
If there are no others, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented, minus items B, C, and E.
Support. It's been moved by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by the Vice Mayor, to approve the consent agenda as presented minus items B, C, and E. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Galrin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hood?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item B, Commissioner Warren.
I move to approve the request and authorize the mayor to sign the letter to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission on behalf of the city commission.
Second?
It's been moved by Commissioner Warren, seconded by Commissioner German, to approve the request and authorize the mayor to sign the letter of the Michigan Liquor Control Commission on behalf of the city commission regarding the farmer's market liquor license. Commissioner Warren.
I was just hoping that our lovely city clerk could talk a little bit about this, just because a lot of people have been following it, of
Yes.
course. People support and are excited about the farmer's market, and it's changed a few times. And so if you could just kind of give us a short summary, please.
Absolutely. We got a site visit from the Liquor Control Commission, which is very common when we're applying for a permanent license. And so we met with our attorney and with them, and they gave us a list of things that they needed. And one of the things that they needed was a resolution, because this is on city property, giving us permission to be outside, just like we would require of anybody else. We're not any different, so we have to have permission of the city commission to do so. But the area that we're looking at that would be licensed is the barn. And there's an area outside of the barn area that's pretty well defined, going up to the stalls and then over. It cannot be roaming freely throughout the entire location unless we apply for a special license, and it would involve fencing and everything, so it'd be a little bit more complicated. I'm not saying we can't ever do it, but it would be a specific license I would have to actually request at that time. So they came and they measured the area. They gave us a list of things before it can go to the liquor control for final approval, and this is one of the things that they needed.
So the intention is more that it would be like a, not necessarily beer, but like a beer garden, where it's just kind of like a small area.
Yeah, it is a small area.
Yeah.
It's the barn area, and then it's also, where you usually see food trucks parked. It's like that whole area right
okay.
there. And
Okay.
it goes up to the picnic tables, the stage area.
Okay.
And then it just basically goes straight across. You hit the other set of stalls, and then right back to the barn area. So that's
Okay.
as big as we can get.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then could you just touch briefly on the intention of having the liquor license? Because it's been a concern that, we have our different breweries and distilleries, and that it's another environment that maybe for anyone that's avoiding alcohol might be another environment that's a
Right.
high alcohol
Right.
area. So could you just kind of explain that, please?
I know that certainly at this time, it is certainly not the intent to have, and we told the liquor control the same thing, to have liquor available all the time, every time we have a market or something. It's for special events, but because we can only have 12 special events a year, and we're looking maybe on like Saturday night or Friday night, or every time we want to do a beer and wine or something, we have to pull a special license. I'm not saying that it could never happen on a Saturday, because it's certainly, we've talked about that before. It could be a Bloody Mary kind of event that we have, or a special kind of event. But at this moment, the intent is not to, every time we're open, have liquor there. That's, yeah, unless everybody demands it, then I guess we'll have to visit that and talk about it.
Right.
Any other questions or comments on this item?
Just
Commissioner
one
German?
question. And this is a permanent liquor license?
It would be a permanent liquor license, which is a really big benefit to the market. That's, yeah.
All right, okay. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Moore?
So if everything goes as planned, when would this be able to start? Where, like with the food truck rally that's coming up, when would it be that we could actually start serving or selling?
Right. It's really going to be up to the liquor control as to when they put it in front of them, and they have all the paperwork, and they're the ones who really have the ultimate authority to tell us. And, honestly, we could have had one even for our food truck rally. We would just simply apply for a special, and it wouldn't have been too difficult. We weren't ready to add that component to our food truck rally. We're still trying to navigate food trucks themselves. So maybe next year we might, consider it, but at this time, we just chose not to. Yeah.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Galvin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hood?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item C, Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I move to appoint Sarah Peterson as the new city treasurer effective August 7th, 2017.
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner German, supported by Commissioner Johnson, to appoint Sarah Peterson as the new city treasurer effective August 7th, 2017. Commissioner German?
Yeah, thank you. When it comes to new employees, I'd like to kind of find out who they are. I haven't been properly introduced to them, but I'm assuming this young lady out there in the chamber would be Ms. Peterson. If you'd like to come up to the stand, I'd like to have you introduce yourself and just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Sarah Peterson. I've been the treasurer at Roosevelt Park for the last 4.5 years. I've worked at Roosevelt Park for about 8 years now. I have a degree in accounting and finance from Grand Valley, and I'm very excited about the possibility of coming to work here.
Okay. And how many years have you worked with the department, the former municipality, I should say?
8 years.
8 years, okay.
I was the assistant to the treasurer for about 4 years, and then I was promoted to the treasurer.
Okay. And this position that she's going to take would be which position? This wouldn't be Derek Smith's position.
It's Ken Grant's position.
Oh, your position, okay. Okay. Okay, and I guess my next question, where will you be, Ken? What are you? You know?
With the absence, when Derek moved, when he moved on to another employment
Right.
opportunity, Beth moved up to the finance director.
Okay.
I moved across the hall to be the assistant finance director.
Okay.
So we're trying to fill the void of the treasurer right now. Right now, I'm doing both right now.
All right.
How's that going, Ken?
It's going.
Okay.
I can't wait till she gets here.
Right. So, a little help doesn't hurt, huh? Okay. So, well, you all are going to be responsible for our finances, and I'm quite sure, Ms. Peterson, you're joining a good team, and fortunately, we did lose one of our veteran directors, but I'd like to personally welcome you to the City of Muskegon Department.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Any other comments? Commissioner Johnson?
So out of 9 candidates that we had, or at least that were interviewed, it was a unanimous decision of the city manager, the finance director, and the assistant finance director. And we see you have a glowing recommendation or reference from our former city manager, Brian Mazet, as well. So you are coming highly recommended and approved. So welcome to, assuming it gets voted yes, but I think that's a given.
Right.
But welcome
Exactly.
to the city of Muskegon.
Are you really retired yet, Brian? No, okay, that's fine. Well, absolutely. Welcome to the family.
Thank you.
Oh, we gotta take a vote first. No, it's great to have somebody on board, and Ken's just grinning, so I think it's probably really, really, really good. So,
Thank you very much.
we're looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Anything else, commissioners?
I thought,
Thank you.
no, thank you.
We'll see you on the 7th. Oh, Commissioner Moore?
No.
Sorry, did I miss you?
No, I thought that Commissioner Turnquist had his hand up, but maybe
No,
not.
it was kind of answered, that's fine.
Okay, you sure?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a crink in my neck, I gotta go like this. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Galvin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hood?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Hey, we got a new treasurer, congratulations. And, what was your next item, Willie?
Item E.
Item E, Commissioner German.
All right. I move to authorize staff to purchase 3 Tahoe police cruisers from Burgess Chevrolet.
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner German, supported by Commissioner Warren, to authorize staff to purchase 3 Tahoe police cruisers from Berger Chevrolet. Commissioner German.
Okay, guess I'm talking to Mr. Muhammad if he would like to approach the bench,
No,
please.
it's
Oh,
Mr. Buckingham.
Oh, okay.
He's the master of the fleet.
Can I answer for you, sir?
Okay, how you doing, sir?
Good.
First question, how will these Tahoe cruisers be used?
They will be used as a fully dressed cruiser.
Okay.
It will be a police cruiser.
And are we getting rid of other cruisers that have, I guess, timed out or
Yep.
reached their
They will be
capacity of
replacing
use?
3 other cruisers that have lived their cycle.
Okay. And so he's basically stating that there's a significant need to replace those and purchase these.
Yes,
And these will be that black, they'll be black?
yes, sir.
Okay, okay, I
Black,
did see
they're
the,
gonna be marked just like the regular cruiser.
Okay.
They'll have the same gold emblems on them.
okay,
They'll be identical. It will be a Tahoe instead of a Caprice now. They
okay,
stopped making the Caprice.
okay, yeah. And I did get a chance to see a visual of it, so I appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Okay. Anything else from Mr. Buckingham?
This was
Commissioner.
brought up once before. I thought we had voted on it. It was just for information the last time.
Yeah, yeah. Saw it over there. Sleep.
Good evening, everybody. I think it was brought up at the budget time. We discussed it at budget time, and then you had the follow-up question via email about the reasons why we're going with Tahoes, and I think I gave a couple of reasons why the Tahoes, because of the life expectancy is gonna.
I was just giving you a hard time, you big warranty and all that.
Does anybody want to give anybody else a hard time while they're up there? If not, thanks. Thanks, Joel. Roll call, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Galvin.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hood,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. New business, please.
Concurrence with the Housing Board of Appeals notice in order to demolish the following: public safety, 407 Monroe Avenue, garage only, 338 Mason Avenue, garage only. Summary of request. This is to request that the City Commission concur with the findings of the Housing Board of Appeals that the garage structures are unsafe, substandard, a public nuisance, and that they be demolished within 30 days. It is further requested that administration be directed to obtain bids for the demolition of the structures, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized and directed to execute a contract for demolition with the lowest responsible bidder, or staff may issue infraction tickets to the owner, agents, or responsible party if they do not demolish the structure. Staff recommendation to concur with the Housing Board of Appeals decision to demolish the garage structures only.
Thank you. Are there any members of the audience here to speak on 407 Monroe Avenue, garage only? Are there any members of the audience here to speak at 338 Mason Avenue, garage only? None, I'll take a motion, please.
Go ahead. You go ahead. Okay.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, I move to appeal the,
Concur?
or to concur with the Housing Board of Appeals notice and order to demolish the following: 407 Monroe Avenue, garage only, 338 Mason Avenue, garage only.
Second?
It's been moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner German, to concur with the Housing Board of Appeals decision to demolish the garage structures only at 407 Monroe Avenue and 338 Mason Avenue. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Turnquist,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Galvin,
Why, yes.
Vice Mayor Hood,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Commissioner German.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item B, please.
Food truck registration fees, City Clerk, summary request. This is a request to adjust the mobile food vending fee to $50 for those food truck vendors that participate in the Muskegon Farmers Market food truck rallies. This is something that was made available to Taste of Muskegon participants. This registration will be good through April 30th of the following year. Currently, mobile food vendors outside the city limits are required to pay $300 annually. Those having restaurants in the city of Muskegon have a fee of $150, and those with a brick and mortar business in the downtown development district pay $50 annually. Staff recommendation, approval.
Commissioner Johnson?
I move to adjust the mobile food vending fee to $50 for those food truck vendors participating in the Muskegon Farmers Market food truck rallies.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by the Vice Mayor, to adjust the mobile food vending fee to $50 for those food truck vendors that participate in the Muskegon Farmers Market food truck rallies. Any discussion? Commissioner Johnson?
I just want to say I think it's a good idea. We did this for the Taste of Muskegon. Those vendors that participated in that had a reduced fee of $50 to get their mobile food vendor license. And I think this is a good idea to do for our food truck rallies. Anything we can do to get more vendors with those licenses so they can avail themselves of the opportunity to come downtown throughout the year or go to Port City Industrial Park and set up shop and be a vendor, the better off we are. So I think it's a great way to encourage food trucks, getting those actual mobile vendor license. We established this ordinance 3 years ago, reduced the fee considerably last year. We really want to see more mobile food vendors in our downtown, especially, but elsewhere throughout our city as well. So I'm fully supportive of this and appreciate our city clerk bringing this to us.
Very good. Commissioner German?
Yeah, this is just a question for the clerk. Have we seen an increase in food vendors?
Not really.
They're not really?
Like,
Okay.
one or two, but it's not as much as we would like. Although we do have I would like to point out, we have a food truck rally tomorrow at the Muskegon Farmers Market. And we actually have 25 food trucks coming, which is huge. So those are 25 participants that we can ask to be part of this and hopefully continue to have them in the city of Muskegon, serving us.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions for the clerk or Commissioner?
Just to point out that I don't know if he's got his mobile food vendor license, but I know that he set up shop at Benson's over at Pine and Apple, is Chef Damon with G55 Catering.
They are taken care of today.
It's taken care of today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I know he's interested in having that license.
He
and-
has
and-
it today, and he
and
got the
being
$50
downtown.
one too for
Okay.
Taste of
That's good.
Muskegon.
Excellent, excellent. So I know that he's interested in being a mobile food vendor, and there are a few others that
What does he serve?
start to grow. He serves like Southern infused Cajun, yeah,
Like oysters
and Creole and
Oh.
gumbo and
Oh, yeah.
new Southern cuisine. So I'd go check it out. He's there not every day
think-
at Benson's, but I think
Yeah, at the end of the
like
week.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Something,
Saturday,
yeah.
something like that.
Ooh, that sounds good,
Yeah.
Ooh, bon
Yeah.
ton. Yeah.
And check it out, it's on the
That's
corner
all
of Pine
right.
and Apple. It's really cute, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Turnquist,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Galvin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hood,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Commissioner German.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Is there any other business from the body to bring up this evening? Commissioner Johnson and then Commissioner Turnquist.
Just had a question because we had came from DPW Director Mohamed Al-Shatal towards the end of the day about doing a request for an emergency appropriation or expenditure. Is that something that we need to address tonight?
If possible.
Okay. Do I need to pull up the email? Do we have a motion ready or? I guess, let's see. It's not to exceed $12,000?
Well, actually, I think $12,576 to make the repair, necessary repair to the machine that we have.
Should, council, should we make a motion not to exceed $13,000 for emergency repair?
Sure.
Okay. I move that we appropriate, I move that we make emergency repairs to the pipe tapping machine at a cost of not to exceed $13,000.
Support. It's been moved by Commissioner Johnson, supported by Commissioner Turnquist, to approve the emergency repairs not to exceed $13,000. Any discussion? Commissioner Warren?
Can you tell us about the pipe tapping machine?
Yes.
It's a machine that taps the pipe.
But
It's a machine that we use to tap our larger pipes, the water main, the pressurized pipes, because we do not shut the water mains off in order for us to tap it. So we put the sleeve on it, and actually it's an exciting procedure that if I offer it to any of you to come and witness once in a while, or at least once. And it basically cuts the pipe itself, the ductile pipe or the cast iron pipe, it cuts it out. and allows us to put a tabbing sleeve and allows us to connect into that pipe without shutting the pipe off itself.
Wow.
So the next time that happens at 3 a.m., will you give me a bump and I'll get right out?
I will be more than happy to give you a bump at 3 o'clock. Mr. Bacon, would you make sure to call the mayor?
He'll forward my number.
No, don't call me, call him.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions on that? Commissioner Johnson?
So this expenditure of less than $13,000, essentially, it's a rebuild with new internal parts, which would be equivalent to buying a new machine almost. And that would save us, we're paying half of what it would cost to buy a new one entirely,
Yes.
pretty much, right?
We were instructed, and I don't know, we were advised to go with the repairs rather than buy a new one, because by the time we make the repair, it's going to be like a brand new and save ourselves about $10,000, $12,000.
Does it come with any kind of warranty?
The repairs, I do imagine about 1 year, yes. He's waving to me, so he doesn't know what I know.
Do you want to call at 3 in the morning too?
I'll leave the 3 a.m. calls to you, Mr. Mayor. And City Manager.
I didn't even say anything.
Thank you.
Please.
My sincerest appreciation and my sincerest apology for bringing this item before you that late. So please accept my apology, and I appreciate your authorization.
Not at all, it's needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Gallron?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hood?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Commissioner Turnquist, you had a...
That was one of my questions, and Mohammed is sitting down again. Has something to do with, a little bit to do possibly with item H on our consent agenda tonight. Both the Grand Haven State Park and the Ludington State Park have playground equipment for, I think it's children designated 12 and under. Both of these equipment areas were donated by private corporations or foundations within the area. Howmet did one in Ludington. I'm not sure who did the Grand Haven one. And I'm just wondering if we've ever looked into the possibility of doing something like that. They're relatively new in the last year, I think, both of them.
For possibility of donation, having,
It was paid for, not with city money, but by foundation or,
the truth is I did not, but we will.
I think it would be a good thing for down
Yeah, we were
here in
focusing-
Marquette, and it might be a good thing in Smith, Ryerson.
I would be more than happy to do that, yes, sir. We were focusing on trying to get the grant that is going to help us do some, structural improvement, if you will, aside from the playground. But now you've opened my eyes to another thing. I will be more than happy to look into it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Mo. Anything else from the commission? Commissioner German?
Yeah, thank you. This is kind of dealing with urban development. I've talked about this before. I look at, our city of Muskegon, our downtown is now developing and thriving. We have projects going on around the city of Muskegon. And over the past few months, I've visited several states, and I went into the urban communities, also Detroit, how they're making a comeback, dealing with urban issues, also dealing with part of the gubernatorial process when it comes to our next governor. These topics that they're looking at is to improve these urban communities. And I want to know what are we going to do, and is there a plan in the budget? We need to put one in the budget to start improving these urban areas. Mm-hmm. And I'd just like to bring that and get some dialogue up now so we could, start the process and set dollars aside to start actually also bringing businesses into the communities, so those tax dollars will actually circulate within the community and stop going outside of the community as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, if you remember from the from our goal setting session, we kind of made quality of life and in the neighborhoods kind of a pretty high priority. One of the things that came out of that initially was this neighborhood empowerment program that we rolled out this year, where we created new ways for the neighborhood associations to engage their neighbors.
Right.
And themselves, and raise dollars from the city to reinvest back in their neighborhoods. Mostly for activities related to youth and activities related to beautification. And so, for example, I think, and Onita's not here, so I'll wait to give the final number to her, but I think we're at or above 150 lots adopted by neighborhoods, which save us money, but at the same time takes money from that it essentially diverts money from contractors to neighborhood associations, because we pay the neighborhood associations $250 for each lot that they adopt, with the only caveat that they spend those dollars on things to improve their neighborhood. So it puts like the empowerment back into the neighborhood. In addition to that, we added a few other things that they could do to raise dollars. You know, run day camps, for example, to keep the youth engaged. Do beautification projects in parks or outside of parks. There were a number of them, you know, from the grassroots level that we were trying to spur with that program. But additionally, you know, we started the housing program. You know, the Midtown Square was the first step in it, and hopefully we're able to see more investments like that throughout the neighborhoods, the urban neighborhoods, or the neighborhoods that, at least in particular, that we identified as needing new housing development. And then, if you remember too, one of our top, I guess, categories in the goal setting session was this idea of identifying new areas for industrial development. Right now, we're kind of in a tough spot where we have some great, seems like great industrial development opportunities that are coming from the Port of Muskegon, and in particular from the purchase of the BC Cobb plant. But the more we work with these individuals on the things that they want to build, the more we find that there aren't places that they could build them in Muskegon, even if we convinced them that Muskegon was the best place to build them. There aren't 50-acre plots and 20-acre plots and 100-acre plots that they need to do the things that they want to do. So one of the things that we've been doing as a staff level is trying to identify areas of the city where land could be collected to create areas for industrial development. You know, and you know, preferably, you know, near the industrial parks that we have now. But what we're finding is they're committed and they're working really hard to find places in the city. But it seems like weekly they reach out to us and say, okay, I've got 5 spots, check these out, and they're, you know, almost certainly out of the city limits every single time they bring us up, you know, a developable property for an end user. And so one thing that I think we need to recognize is that a lot of our properties are on their 2nd, 3rd, or 4th life cycle, you know, whereas some of these other communities still have green space that hasn't been developed yet, you know, and it's more readily available for job creation.
Right.
But one thing that we have that a lot of those areas don't have are utilities, and so I think we need to find a way of making land available at, near, and around our utilities, so that it makes sense for people to invest there and develop there. And I wouldn't be surprised, you know, we're trying not to rush it. We want to make sure that we make a good recommendation to the commission on where we start and how we do that, because it will cost dollars, obviously, to collect these areas up and to get them ready. And so we're doing a pretty deep analysis in terms of what areas are I don't want to say underperforming, because that's not the right word, but, you know, we're analyzing, you know, taxable values and things like that in certain areas, and trying to determine which ones are bringing in less per acre and are more developable if we collected up the right amount of dollars, and if we had to go for a period of time where there were less tax dollars in those areas because we owned it, or because we were developing it, or because we were working with somebody to develop it, we wouldn't miss the dollars as much. So we're looking at areas that are below X number of dollars per acre in terms of tax receipts for the community, because we don't want it to be a drain on the community as we start to identify these areas. But I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year we can at least start to have a dialogue as to which parts of the city make sense to have additional, you know, to focus on industrial development.
Right. And I'm also talking about actually the infrastructure also, and also those actually neighborhoods that are at an economic disadvantage, where schools are actually shut down, start to develop in those areas also. As far as crime, some of those areas, they seem pretty safe. I think our police department does an excellent job fighting crime. And that's another issue that constituents have talked with me about. Different, you know, activities, shootings, homicides, that's going on in the community. No one's talking about that or even addressing that. So as a city official, I think it's our fiduciary duty to address those issues, to assure the community that we are honing in on this and looking into making it and keeping our communities safe, as well as dealing with crime and drugs and all of that as well.
I think that it's an incumbent on us, because we know that our department does an excellent job. Someone that's opposed to us, challenge the constituent right back, because we know the great work that our department does. And you look at the clearance rate now. You look at how, when these major events do happen, how often, within weeks, the U.S. Marshals are nabbing, the individual. So we should all know the truth. We know that we have a highly respected community, community policing department, and you look at our initiatives over the past decades. But right now, we're experiencing, so many positive things with, so many of our partners as well as ourselves and what we're doing with the expansion of higher ed programming at the traditional campuses as well as downtown. Our programs through community and neighborhood services that citizens can avail themselves to for improvement, and at the same time, how we'll go in with those programs and build new houses or rehab other ones. The amount of the increase in our code enforcement on the condition of properties and rentals and the like, and we don't lay back and wait for buildings to fall down on people. We take action. Frank already brought up our initiative at Midtown, and the amount of investment that took, a certain amount of risk, but the payoffs are going to be phenomenal, and hopefully we can continue to expand that. The neighborhood empowerment program Frank brought up, our relationship with the neighborhood associations of Muskegon, and our excellent relationship with Muskegon Area First, and the work that we're beginning to see with our engagement with Jonathan Wilson as our economic development director. I don't know the exact term, I forget.
Coordinator.
All right, coordinator. But I'm really excited with Frank talking about the hard work that's been going on and looking at land acquisition for industrial development or redevelopment. Our business recruitment continues as well. Hopefully we'll see some headquarters move into town. That would be handy dandy. And but we're shaking those bushes, and we're doing the yeoman's work. And I'm quite happy with that amount of effort I've seen in the decades. But it doesn't mean that we rest on any laurels. We continue to be as innovative as possible, and we move, work. But it's incumbent on us. If any of our citizenry doubts what we're doing, then we're in a position to be able to tell them, and we ought to share that and help educate the citizenry about the great work that we are doing along with them and the engaged citizens of this community. Vice Mayor?
Yes. I just wanted to echo in on one of the things that Willie said, that Commissioner German said about businesses that when they do come in, and to go back to one of the things that we went over in our session, to where we are holding them responsible to the contract when they come in to apply for tax abatements. That we go back and see what their hiring practices is, and that they are hiring minorities and people from the city. I also think that there should be somewhere in there when they come in and they're building new buildings or whatnot, that they do hire people from the city of Muskegon. Because a lot of these companies, they come in with their own workforce. And that's, you know, our residents are looking for employment and need employment, and we should just keep that in mind, and maybe we could put something in writing sometimes. I'm not a lawyer, but I just think that other cities do that also.
And we're in a direct relationship, as you said, with those tax considerations or incentives and the like. It's kind of hard when they're just coming out and doing it on their own. There's not much we can say, but when we had those direct relationships. But I think, you know, to date.
But if we're giving them tax abatements,
Yeah.
we should be able to
That's right.
have something to say.
And as you see, and when, you know, Duana, you know, comes up and, you know, is able to, you know, present to us their affirmative action programs and the like, you know, they're held to a standard, but we do have to make sure that they maintain that standard without a doubt, without a doubt.
And just one other thing, talk about what our manager Frank talked about, looking at spaces, land where potential employers can come in and build. To me, is a key factor, because if you look at our demographics, we're about, City of Muskegon, about 38,000. You have these millennials that's coming up, a lot of them in college coming out, leaving. There's no jobs here for them. And the ones that actually are not working, are less fortunate, are at a disadvantage, and doesn't matter gender, race, whatever. Some of those resort to a life of crime. And looking at that, you have a demographic over here that's middle class, working, able to afford things, live a comfortable life, whereas you have a portion here in the urban city or ghetto, to be realistic about it. You know, urban is just a fabricated word to make it sound good, but, you know, being practical, these things are actually happening. So we definitely need to look at ways to bring in businesses that's going to help these, I would say, people in the community that don't have the top-notch skills, that's able to be a tax base for the city, but also be able to accommodate our citizens with work. Like what we're looking at here, developing the Sappy property over there. You know, as I thought about it, you know, the gentlemen that's the investors there, the big picture is, okay, we had someone that come in and take care of the property, but then we have these investors that's going to come in and sell that property off, and they're gone, you know, and then you have these businesses. So, I mean, it's money being made, but who's going to be able to afford that property or live in those areas? You know, not the people that are just with high school diplomas or 2 years of college. We need to cater to and look at our community as a whole, and break down those, you know, invisible barriers, zip codes, imaginary lines that segregate, you know, the different social and life skills of this municipality. And so that's what I'm looking at when I talk about urban development and, you know, the economic disadvantages, because it exists.
It does. And luckily, we come from a community that's, you know, highly engaged to look at those, from anything from United Way and their programs working, you know, to stamp out Alice or deal with those realities, dealing with and working with kids, not just to keep them occupied physically, but to deal with their human development, and organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, and to deal with those youth that have probably hit the hardest and become homeless. And some of those individuals that you brought up that bought the Sappy property are the same individuals that have done things like funded the Boys and Girls Club, you know, raised $1 million to get that going, raised the money for Covenant Academy to get that open, raised the money to open where I was today, the grand opening of Covenant House for,
I tried to get
Yeah.
there, but I had to come here.
you did, but luckily I was in town. But, you know, Sam Joseph extends his best to everybody. But there again, you have those individuals that aren't just running businesses. They're investing in the human capital of this community. Whether it's the Boys and Girls Club, as I said, the Covenant House, Covenant Academy, Reed Muskegon, and the great work that our Social Justice Commission, you know, does to work with troubled youth and their families, and programming at out at community college, the academy out there, to get people on their feet, the expansion of programming at the Career Tech Center. We actually have a worker shortage in this county, and we have to encourage people to get through high school. We need to encourage people to get that additional training, and that availability and the outreach continues to grow. You work for an excellent institution that's trying to, you know, do a bang-up job with drawing people in, because that's just the reality. You know, the new entry-level job is food service. And we have to reframe our thought processes and prepare ourselves and our children and our children's children for the reality of the economy of the 21st century. But my gosh, there's yard signs up for manufacturers in this town. We need workers. We need workers. We need workers. Last year there was a 1,000 shortage in manufacturing. This year it's a little bit under that, but overall there's 3,000 positions open in Muskegon County for employment at all different levels. But it is incumbent upon us to help educate our population and to guide them and direct them in where they're at. We got to meet them where they're at and bring them to those resources. But then it's incumbent on them to avail themselves, you know, to that resource. As a man of education, you appreciate that, you know, fully, I know. Any other comments on this? Any other business to bring before the commission?
Just a couple of things that, we have a wonderful concert in the park at McGrath tonight. A little polka music. Looking downtown, it's really good to see the bank building, I think, has been completely painted now, an eyesore that looks almost like a new building. This past week, the city has made a request to the Transportation Committee, and the paving of Lake Shore has been moved from 2020 to next year. Is that correct, Mo? And the city is doing that and getting that moved up. The Berkshire is going great guns. I'm just wondering, there's a couple of things, maybe Frank could give us an update. Sale is still pending on the parking lot down by the Hartshorn, and what's happening at the Watermark with those plans?
So the Hartshorn property, we actually just got the phase 1 environmental work completed. They have some issues that they want to talk about, and they ordered a BEA or a due care plan or whatever the next step is. We're meeting with them next week to talk about what things popped up on the environmental, the initial environmental work, and then decide if there's any problems. So it's just a process to kind of get through to that. And then there's also some things that we got to figure out with the where the property ends, where the marina starts. I think it took us a minute to figure out exactly where that was. We had a survey done, and so that took a little bit of time. But as far as I know, in my conversations with the developer, they fully intend to continue to move forward. They just have a few things that they're working through. Actually, we just got an update from the Watermark folks. It sounded like they finally did sign a contract with Melching to start the demolition of their buildings. They did finally get their final request into the MEDC strategic fund for financing, I guess. And do you remember, Steve, in there, they said that they that they signed an agreement with the bank too to finance.
Right, they have their bank financing, demo contracts are signed, and MEDC has their packet.
What's going to be demolished? I thought all of this work was taking place inside.
Yep, well, you'll see demolition, we're thinking in the next couple weeks, you'll see demolition starting on the kind of the purple administration building on Division Street. Next to right next to that corner building that was up for discussion a number of months ago. That's where you'll see it start. That's where the demolition will start. They've also shifted the plan around a little bit, and they're starting with the residential, but they're moving the residential to the back again. So the area that's adjacent to the Watermark 920, those will be apartments now. The plan that they brought to you initially had that being a commercial, essentially 100% commercial there. Now it'll be 100% residential. And so they're moving their apartments back there mostly because as their engineers really started drawing the plans for the front half of the building, they realized that it was going to be much more costly per unit when they started getting their estimates in, and they were worried that it would actually derail the project. So they moved to the back half of the building where they can put residential units in at a more reasonable cost. And then, so it'll be to be determined exactly what they do on the Western Avenue side yet. But they are committed to doing the whole thing, but right now they're going to start with the back half.
Thank you.
Anything else, commissioners? Are there any members of the public that would like to bring? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Johnson.
Okay. I just wanted to know if, so we got notification from the Army Corps of Engineer this week with regard to proposed marina construction on the Kirksey property. And I was wondering if staff has had a chance to vet all that, and if there are any concerns of staffs on that part. In the description of the public notice, it indicates that dredging is going to happen, but that it's going to be contained upland staging area on site to dewater and for permanent disposal. But then elsewhere, it says that this activity involves the discharge of dredged or fill material into waters of the United States. So there's conflicting information in the public notice as to whether or not the dredging is actually being taken out of the water, dewatered, and then safely stored, or whether it's going to be dispersed elsewhere into Muskegon Lake. So I'd like to get clarification if you have it now, or can get us clarification on what activity is actually going to happen there, and if staff has fully vetted it in terms of their concerns with regard to environmental impact, or economic impact, or what have you with that development.
I haven't vetted it or even probably read it as thoroughly as you. I think I got it the same day you did. It came yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, yesterday.
So I haven't had a chance, although I did talk to Mr.
Oh, no, you're right, Thursday. It came the same day as our
Yeah, it's one,
agenda.
we got an updated one.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, I
came
did.
this week.
Did an updated one, yeah.
Well, I did talk to Dennis a number of weeks ago about what his plan was. And it sounds like they say marina, but it sounds like it's really just docks for when they bring boats in for storage inside there. They're going to come in, park them on these docks, and then bring them in for storage. So it doesn't sound like it's a recreational marina or anything like that. But we didn't get into what he was doing with the dredge spoilings. I was under the impression that they were storing them on site. But I can look into that and see if I can get an answer from him, or maybe if he's interested in giving update to the commission about what they plan on doing.
Okay. Yeah, I just like the clarification because it seems conflicting. At one point it says it's being taken out of the water and stored on land, dewatered and safely stored, and the other part it says that that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has to evaluate the impact because there's discharge of dredged or fill material into the waters of the United States. So
I'll try to get clarification.
One, I better understand what's happening there, whether it's being safely disposed of or it's just being dispersed elsewhere into Muskegon Lake, in which case that may be problematic, depending on the sediment there. I mean, that was an industrial site for many years, so if we can get clarification, I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Anything else, Commissioner Warren?
I just wanted to just say really briefly that I appreciated Commissioner German's points about bringing up things that we talk about in our goal-setting session, as it's kind of a halfway point, rather than sometime, just the past couple I've been involved with. We have a great goal-setting session, and then the year flies by, and then it's kind of, we don't always talk about it as the year is going. And so bringing that up and talking about urban development and accountability and employment opportunities, I just appreciate the dialogue. So
It's very good.
Mohammed wanted me to point out two things, that we do have recycling bins now available at City Hall and at the fire station in Lakeside. So if people want to bring their recycling there.
I
We're
was
doing a,
scouring them out the other day when I was here. I was like, where are they? Where?
they're small ones for now, right?
96
They're 96 gallons. We-
Oh, so by people, really?
Yeah, for
So if you have a garage full of recycling, you
It
can
won't
get
fit
it,
in there,
just a person.
hypothetically.
Yeah.
Hypothetically
Okay.
speaking.
Hypothetically, if you had a garage full, you could probably take it out to the industrial park. But if you had some.
If anyone
you'd
has
be
a
fine.
pickup truck.
Well, how much hypothetically does one of those handle? That's hypothetical, okay.
But they're
But
here.
it's for the public.
Yeah, they're here for the public, and they're at the fire station in Lakeside.
The big one will be out front of Ken's house.
We do have a triangle right nearby there that's just vacant. It'd be
Yeah.
a great place for a recycling depot drop off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we city has to maintain it already anyhow.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's put a drop site. I can throw my recycling at the triangle.
Oh, gosh, don't start. Anything else, commissioners? Are there any members of the public that would like to address the commission? You look familiar, come on up. Just need your name and address, Chris.
Chris Burns, 1284 Lake Shore. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I want to thank the mayor for submitting RSVP for the Bloomberg Philanthropies 2017 Mayor's Challenge. It's an exciting opportunity. We have to have a core group, Commissioner Johnson and the new planner, Jamie Pesh, and I so far are serving on that core team to develop the program for an idea accelerator that's going to help us move our new ideas forward. We're focusing on the marina conversation was very appropriate. We're focusing on waterfront development and the coordination of programs to address environmental issues, but also coastal resiliency and development of the city, because we certainly all want to see that happen in a way that makes a lot of sense, but also be able to address environmental issues, access issues, environmental justice for the residents that live here. And one of the key things I'm particularly interested in is trying to be able to connect the neighborhoods and the residents back to the lake, because it seems many times we push our own people further and further away inadvertently when development happens. And so there's perhaps new ways of looking at it and coordinating our efforts. And so we're really excited about the opportunity to do that. And I wanted to thank you for RSVPing to that opportunity.
Absolutely, thank you, Chris. Chris, is there a kayak gig going on this weekend?
Yes, so there is, on Saturday, there is a community paddle down at the Hartshorn Boat Launch.
Okay.
And we are going to have our Watch Us Go boating kayaks. We had not been able to launch our lessons yet because we have to redo the launch that we have there at Hartshorn Marina. But we are going to move down to the boat launch and be a part of the community paddle this Saturday. So
Great.
thank you for asking.
Oh, sure, and there's rentals available that day?
Well, we will be able to rent. The access to the waters that been the issue at Hartshorn.
Okay.
So by having them down there, we'll be available. Guy's Kayaks that particular day is renting his kayaks for just $5 each.
Okay.
And so we'll do the same
Okay.
with the Watch Us Go boating kayaks.
Okay, yeah, because the woman I live with was interested, so.
Oh, good.
I wanted to.
Great. We'll put her on one of those bright yellow kayaks and give her a bright red jacket, and off she'll go.
Very good.
All right,
Okay.
very cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any other members of the public that would like to address the commission? If not, Vice Mayor?
If there's nothing else, I move to adjourn.
It's been moved by the Vice Mayor, supported by Commissioner Johnson to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, then get out of here then.